Good morning, everyone. Today, our group will be presenting on the topic of marine and coastal erosion issues in Malaysia. First, let us understand what marine and coastal erosion means. Marine and coastal erosion refers to the gradual wearing away of beach, shorelines, and coastal land by natural force, such as wave, tide, ocean currents, and wind. Over time, this force removes sand and sediment from the coast, causing the shoreline to retreat inland. This process happens when more sediment is removed from a coastal area than can be naturally replaced. As a result, beaches become narrower, land is lost, and coastal infrastructure may be damaged. According to Jaffa and Maulud, continued erosion can lead to shoreline retreat, loss of valuable coastal habitats, and increased risk to nearby communities. There are several factors that contribute to marine and coastal erosion. The first factor is wave action. Waves constantly strike the coastline and carry energy that removes sand and sediment from beach. During storm and monsoon season, stronger waves increase the rate of erosion and can rapidly reshape coastal areas. The second factor is coastal currents. Ocean current transports sand and sediment along the shoreline through a process known as longshore drift. When more sediment is carried away than deposit, the coastline gradually retreats inland and erosion becomes more severe. The next factor is sea level rise. Due to global warming, glaciers and ice sheets are melting while seawater expands as temperature increases. Rising sea level exposes coastal areas to more frequent flooding and stronger wave impacts, which accelerate erosion. Another factor is human activities. Activities such as land reclamation, coastal development, sand mining, and mangrove clearing can disrupt natural coastal process. These activities reduce the coastline's ability to protect itself and often increase erosion rates. Next, I will explain the importance of coastal areas in Malaysia. Firstly, coastal areas are important for the environment. They provide habitats for mangrove, coral reef, and many marine species. These ecosystems help maintain biodiversity and act as natural barriers against wave, storm, and coastal erosion. Secondly, coastal areas contribute significantly to Malaysian economy. Activities such as fisheries, aquaculture, tourism, and shipping generate income and create job opportunities. Coastal ports also support domestic and international trade, making them essential for economic growth. Lastly, coastal areas have a great social importance. Millions of people living near the coast depend on this resource for their livelihood. Coastal communities preserve unique cultures, traditions, and way of life that have been passed down through generations.
Coastal erosion in Malaysia is caused by both natural and human factors. Naturally, strong wave and monsoon season continuously hit the shoreline, gradually removing sand and causing beaches to shrink. Rising sea levels and climate change further worsen the problem by increasing coastal flooding and wave intensity. Human activities also contribute significantly to coastal erosion. Coastal development such as the construction of resorts and ports can disturb natural coastal process. Land reclamation alter wave pattern, while mangrove clearing remove natural barriers that protect coastline from wave action. In addition, excessive sand mining reduces the amount of sediment available to maintain stable beaches. Together, these factors accelerate the loss of coastal land and threaten coastal ecosystem.
Malaysia has over 8,400 kilometers of coastline, and a significant portion of it is under threat from coastal erosion. Today, I will be highlighting some of the key areas that are most affected. Starting with Terengganu, 6 locations have been classified as critical erosion area, including zones northwest of Kuala Besut, Kuala Merang, Kuala Nerus, and area around the Sungai Ibai estuary, Jandarin Port, Kampung Brusila, and Sungai Pakar estuary. Moving to Penang, popular coastal spots like Batu Ferringhi and Tanjung Bunga are experiencing worsening erosion. In Sarawak, the city of Kuching Miri and Betong are among the worst hit, and beyond these three states like Selangor, particularly Kuala Selangor and Klang, as well as Johor, Batu Pahat, and part of Kedah are also seriously affected, as supported by this new article you can see here. Now, what does this actually mean for the people living there? Based on the study by Sophia Ehsan and colleagues in 2019, the effects are wide-ranging. Coastal erosion causes direct damage to residential properties and coastal infrastructure. As seen in these photos from Bagan Pasir, Selangor, it leads to the loss of coastal land and agriculture area and degrades mangrove forests and coastal habitat. The economic toll is significant too. Repair costs are high, and industries like fisheries, aquaculture, tourism, and recreational are all disrupted. On top of that, soil and water quality decline, and most critically, it threatens the safety, livelihood, and long-term sustainability of coastal communities. These are not just environmental statistics, they represent real homes, real business, and real living being lost to the sea.
Firstly, global framework like CDG 13 and 14 demand that we build long-term coastal relations against climate change. Malaysia translates this through our national policies and biological diversity, which shift decision-making from hard engineering to nature-based solutions. As our chart shows, instead of the costly concrete seawalls that push wave energy downstream, we prioritize restoring mangrove forests. Mangrove act as a dynamic living buffer that naturally trap sediment, break wave, and protect coastal communities sustainably. Secondly, national policies provide the legal enforcement required for prevention. Under Section 34A of the Environmental Quality Act 1974, any major coastal development must undergo a strict environmental impact assessment or EIA. This seven-step process acts as a decision-making filter. If advanced oceanographic modeling predicts that a project will cause severe downstream erosion or high climate risk, the Department of Environment has the legal power to reject it, stopping environmental damage before it starts. Finally, policies act as structural coordinators for international collaboration. Because coastal erosion crosses administrative boundaries, it creates operational silos between JPS, local council, and the forestry department. To break this, the National Coastal Zone Management Policies enforce integrated coastal zone management or ICZM as a Venn diagram illustrates. ICZM merged these separate agencies to align local land use planning with ocean realities, ensuring strict construction setback from the eroding shores.
Hi, my name is Lutfi. Today I'm going to talk about the Malaysia policies related to coastal erection. So first we look at nature's own defense system. Malaysia's national policy on biological diversity emphasizes protecting coastal ecosystem, particularly mangrove forests. Mangrove act as natural barriers, reducing wave energy by up to 90% to prevent shoreline erosion. By prioritizing ecosystem restoration and resource management, this policy protects biodiversity while directly fulfilling our commitment under SDG 14, that is life below water, and SDG 15, that is life on land. So the second one is the National Coastal Zone Physical Plan. To control human impact, decision-makers utilize the National Coastal Zone Physical Plan. This framework provides strict spatial guidelines for development and land use planning along our shores. By identifying highly vulnerable, erosion-prone zones, it enforces mandatory no-build setback buffers. This ensures that infrastructure is kept clear of fragile coastline, successfully balancing economic development with environmental protection. So the third policy is Environmental Quality Act 1974. When major coastal projects are proposed, the Environmental Quality Act 1974 provides the necessary legal enforcement. It mandates a comprehensive environmental impact assessment or EIA before any construction can begin. This process evaluates erosion risk in advance. If a project is shown to threaten or worsen shoreline degradation, decision makers can legally halt or modify it, ensuring strict environmental monitoring. Next is the fourth policy, that is National Climate Change Policy. Finally, to address long-term threats, the National Climate Change Policy integrates climate adaptation directly into national planning. It addresses risks like sea level rise and severe storms that accelerate erosion rates. By supporting a strategic mix of structural engineering and ecological restoration, this policy builds a long-term resilience across Malaysia's shores, directly satisfying SDG 13, that is climate action. Thank you.
Marine and coastal erosion is closely related to SDG 14, Life Below Water, which aim to protect marine ecosystem and conserve coastal biodiversity. It also linked to SDG 13, Climate Action, which focus on reducing the impacts of climate change and improving coastal resilience. Together, these SDGs support sustainable management and protection of Malaysia's coastal area.